Have you ever felt like you're constantly fighting a battle you can't win? Like your mind is a battlefield and you're losing? You try to stay positive, but doubt slips in. You try to stay strong, but life keeps punching harder. You wake up tired of pretending, worn out from smiling through the storm. Let me tell you something that may shake the foundation of everything you've been told about success and strength. You were never defeated by the world, you were deceived by your own attitude. And here's the truth no one dared to tell you. You don't need motivation. You don't need luck. You don't even need perfect circumstances. What you need is a mental attitude forged in fire, one that cannot be broken, even when everything else around you shatters. In this video, I'll give you the blueprint to build that kind of mindset, a strategy that doesn't just inspire. It transforms, not one based on hope, but on discipline, repetition, and absolute ownership of your inner world. And if you stay with me until the end, you will walk away with a process that makes your attitude your greatest weapon, one that turns adversity into your fuel. If you're ready to lead your own mind, not be led by fear, failure, or the opinions of others, then subscribe now. This channel exists to awaken the part of you that refuses to break. Your mind is not a playground, it's a battleground, and every day something is trying to conquer it. The question is, who's winning? Fear? Doubt? Guilt? Resentment? Or is it purpose? Vision? Gratitude? Faith? You see, the human mind was never designed to be neutral. It is always under the influence of something. If you don't take control, the world will. If you don't command it, your past, your pain, or your critics will. Mental defeat doesn't begin with failure. It begins with surrender, often so silently you don't even notice it. It begins the moment you stop choosing your thoughts and start accepting the default noise. The truth is, your mental attitude is the only domain in life where you have absolute, undeniable, and unchallengeable authority you might not control. What happens to you, but you control how you interpret, respond, and rise from it. This is not motivational fluff. It's a law, the law of control. The battlefield is not out there. It is within. Master it, or be mastered. So ask yourself, have I been the general of my own thoughts, or just a passive observer of the chaos inside me? Let this question echo in your mind, because from this moment forward, passivity is no longer an option. It's time to reclaim your mind like your life depends on it, because it does. You cannot build mental strength on random thoughts and vague intentions. A powerful attitude demands a powerful reason. Without purpose, your mind wanders. It seeks comfort, avoids conflict, and surrenders to whatever feels easier. That's not weakness, it's biology. But you are not your biology. You are the one who commands it if you decide. Purpose is the fire that hardens steel. It transforms pain into fuel and setbacks into signals. When you know exactly what you're building, failure becomes feedback, not finality. You don't break, you adapt. Purpose makes struggle tolerable, and tolerable pain becomes power. Without it, every small problem feels overwhelming. With it, you walk through fire and don't flinch. Here's the brutal truth: most people suffer not from adversity, but from a lack of direction. Life hits them and they fall, not because the hit was too strong, but because they had nothing worth standing for. When you're clear on what you want, life stops being random. You stop negotiating with excuses and start organizing your strength. A definite purpose creates mental structure. It organizes your thoughts, filters distractions, and sets your nervous system on a mission. It rewires how you interpret resistance. What used to break you becomes training. The harder the path, the stronger the signal that you're on track. Purpose is the compass. Without it, you're just reacting. So what does this mean practically? It means you must decide, not guess, not see how it goes. You must define what you're building with the same intensity that a warrior sharpens his blade. Your purpose must be so specific and emotionally charged that even when you feel like quitting, you can't forget why you started. This is where mental armor is forged. In the clarity of a mission. In waking up and saying, this is who I am. This is where I'm going. This is what I will not stop until I create. Purpose is not optional. It is the foundation of every unbreakable mind, and the first move toward it is non-negotiable. Decide, now. Ask yourself, not casually, but like your future depends on it. What do I want so badly that I'm willing to suffer for it? Because only that kind of purpose can fortify your attitude against everything life will throw at you. Negative thoughts don't knock, they infiltrate. They disguise themselves as logic, realism, or self-protection. Left unchecked, they multiply, sabotage, and slowly dismantle your will. If you don't consciously monitor your internal dialogue, you'll be ambushed from within. Your mind is not a hallway for random thoughts to wander through, it's a fortress. Every idea that enters must be screened with discernment. What doesn't serve your mission must be rejected instantly. Tolerate nothing that weakens you. You don't get a positive mental attitude. You build and defend it daily. That means recognizing thought patterns that drain your energy and counterattacking with precision. Doubt, fear, resentment, they are intruders, not advisors. Treat them like enemies, not roommates. Mental fortification starts with input control. What you watch, hear, and read programs your subconscious. Your mind becomes whatever you feed it most. If you absorb fear-based noise, don't be surprised when courage disappears. Gratitude is not it's a weapon. It chemically disrupts fear and reorients focus toward strength. The moment you feel yourself slipping into complaint or worry, intercept it, replace it, command your state. Weak minds wait, strong minds redirect. Repeat this like law. I was not built to host doubt. My mind is not for rent. I control the atmosphere within me. Every repetition is a brick in the wall. Every refusal to entertain weakness reinforces your defense. Now reflect. What thoughts have I allowed that sabotage my clarity and power? Because your transformation doesn't start when life gets easier, it starts when you become a gatekeeper of your mind. No one is born positive. Positivity is not a trait, it's a habit. If your mind defaults to pessimism, it's not your identity. It's your conditioning. What was installed can be reprogrammed. What was learned can be unlearned. Your environment shaped your mental software. If you were surrounded by fear, lack, or complaint, your subconscious absorbed that as truth. But exposure is not destiny. You are not bound to your past settings unless you refuse to update them. Reprogramming begins with repetition. You don't change your mindset by hoping to feel different. You condition it like a muscle with intentional input. What you say to yourself consistently and emotionally writes the new code. This is not theory. Your brain physically rewires through repetition and emotional intensity. Every affirmation, when backed by belief and consistency, rewrites neural patterns. Identity is not static, it's sculpted by practice. Stop waiting to feel positive before you speak. Power. You speak power to create the feeling. Action leads, emotion follows. Train your attitude like a warrior trains his reflexes daily, with precision. The world tells you, that's just how I am. That's not truth, that's surrender. You are not your default state. You are what you decide to reinforce. And every thought you accept is either building your identity or burying it. So ask yourself, am I speaking like the person I want to become or like the one I was trained to be? Because every word you choose is either reinforcing your cage or building your freedom. Repetition is the mechanism through which identity becomes reality. What you say often enough, with enough emotion, becomes who you are. Not because it's true, but because the mind doesn't argue with consistency, it installs it. Your subconscious accepts repetition as instruction. Whether you repeat fear or power, defeat or certainty, it obeys. The voice you allow most often becomes your internal commander. That's not optional. That's neurological law. You don't become confident by wishing. You become confident by repeating thoughts, words, and behaviors that embody strength until they override hesitation. Your identity is not discovered. It's built one repetition at a time. The tragedy is that most people repeat powerlessness. I can't. I'm not ready. Nothing works for me. Not because it's true, but because they've practiced it longer. They've conditioned a mental loop that confirms their limitation. Shift your identity. You must declare the new one with volume, clarity, and frequency. Say it until it feels real. Then say it more. Feelings don't come first. Command does. You don't need to feel like a leader to speak like one. Discipline in repetition creates inevitability. 5 minutes a day of strategic self-talk rewires more than hours of random motivation. This is not hype, it's neuroscience. Your mind becomes what you make familiar. So ask with intensity, what am I rehearsing in my mind daily? Strength or surrender? Because what you rehearse, you remember, and what you remember, you relive until you rewrite it. Discipline is the great separator, the trait that turns clarity into momentum. Many know what to do, few do it consistently. Without discipline, your best thoughts stay wrapped in theory, and your potential rots in waiting. Your mind reflects your habits. If you tolerate distraction, you invite weakness. If you repeat discipline, you reinforce power. Discipline isn't punishment, it's the construction crew of your future. Without it, your dreams are vapor. An untrained mind serves emotion. A disciplined mind serves purpose. The undisciplined chase comfort, then resent their stagnation. The disciplined endure discomfort, then own their results. This contrast defines success in every domain. You don't rise by motivation. You rise by commitment to structure, reading instead of scrolling, training instead of complaining. Every disciplined act is a vote for the identity you're building. Each moment of alignment adds strength. Discipline also protects focus. Every yes to your mission requires 1,000 no's to distractions. Freedom is not doing what you want, it's choosing what builds you over and over. That is mental sovereignty in action. Pressure exposes whether discipline was installed. When life hits, habits speak louder than intentions. You fall to the level of your systems, not rise to the level of your goals. So make your systems worthy of the storm. Ask this with honesty. What routines shape my mind right now? Are they building a fortress or digging a grave? Because discipline doesn't just determine performance, it determines who you become when everything shakes. Adversity is not the enemy, it's the entry exam. Before every elevation, there's a test, not to punish you, but to prove you. Life doesn't give power to those who avoid struggle, it grants it to those who grow through it. If your attitude collapses in the storm, it wasn't built, it was borrowed. True strength isn't tested in clarity, but in chaos. Growth doesn't ask for comfort, it demands resistance. And resistance is where warriors are shaped. Pain exposes what's real. It strips illusions, shatters ego, and reveals what you actually believe. Will you rise or rationalize? Will you weaponize the lesson or weep in the loss? How you interpret. Adversity defines whether you ascend or repeat. Most people misread adversity as rejection when it's redirection. The detour is not denial, it's refinement. Your delay might be saving you from unprepared success. Not every no is a wall, some are weight to strengthen you. Every collapse contains curriculum. When life breaks you, it's not personal, it's preparation. You are being initiated into your next level, but only if you stop asking why me, and start asking what's this building in me. This is why weak attitudes dissolve under pressure. They were never fortified with perspective. Strong minds see pain as information. They interpret suffering as signal, not sentence. And that shift alone changes everything. Now challenge yourself. What if every setback in your life was a custom-designed doorway to your evolution, and your only job is to stop resisting and start learning? Because adversity doesn't destroy you, misreading it does. You can't always control what happens, but you always control what it becomes. Between stimulus and response lies the gap where power lives. Most people never claim that space. They react. The unshakable reinterpret. Interpretation is the alchemy of the mind. The same event can create a victim or a visionary, the difference is meaning. Pain isn't predefined. You assign its value. That assignment either imprisons or empowers you. Someone leaves you. You were abandoned or freed. You lose a job. You were rejected or redirected. Life delays your plans. You were blocked or protected. Nothing has meaning until your mindset defines it. Your interpretation is your creative authority. It turns setbacks into stages, criticism into coaching, and silence into signal. Once you grasp this, you no longer beg for easier, you build stronger interpretation skills. This is how mindset becomes leadership. You stop reacting to life and start leading it. You become the editor of your emotional reality. That's not denial, it's design. Your reality follows the lens you choose, but most people surrender that power. They adopt the world's narrative. They absorb pain without processing purpose. That's how they stay stuck. Not from what happened, but from what they made it mean. Now ask with ruthless honesty, what have I been calling failure that might actually be formation? Because your life is not defined by events, it's defined by the meanings you refuse to upgrade. Your mind is sacred territory, yet most people leave it wide open, vulnerable to noise, negativity, and infection. You cannot build an unbreakable attitude in a toxic atmosphere. Your environment is either reinforcement or erosion. Every voice you allow near you shapes your inner narrative. People aren't just company, they are code. They either program strength or poison. Words enter ears, but they echo in belief. Guard your gates like your life depends on it. Mental sovereignty requires boundary clarity. Not everyone deserves access to your attention. Friends who normalize fear, media that glorifies victimhood, these aren't harmless. They are constant micro-injections of weakness. You don't rise through willpower alone. You rise through design. Place yourself where belief is oxygen and vision is normal. If no one around you speaks life, you must become the source and change your circle. Even your digital diet matters. If your scroll feeds comparison, outrage, or distraction, you're starving your identity. Replace noise with nourishment. Your attention is a currency, spend it where your strength multiplies. This is antellitism. It's responsibility, protecting. Your mental environment is not selfish, it's survival. You can't lead your own mind if you're constantly digesting defeat. Remove what weakens. Install what builds, repeat. Now ask with sharp awareness. Who and what have I allowed to shape my attitude without my permission? Because if you don't choose your influences, they'll choose your future. No one is coming to authorize your breakthrough. Waiting for permission is the mindset of the powerless. You don't need a title, a stage, or applause. You need a decision, final, internal, and absolute. Ownership begins where excuses end. As long as you blame conditions, you surrender control. Circumstances can limit options, but they can't limit ownership. The one who owns the meaning owns the outcome. Mental power isn't inherited, it's chosen. Not once, but daily, in moments of chaos, in silence, in failure. You don't feel like a leader before deciding. You decide first. Leadership of the mind is earned through relentless choice. You either lead your thoughts or your thoughts lead you. There is no middle ground. The unbreakable don't wait to be inspired. They command their state, shift their energy, and act from the future they've already decided is theirs. Your past doesn't vote on your next decision. Neither does fear, fatigue, or other people's opinions. You don't need certainty to move. Movement creates certainty. Waiting weakens, deciding activates, but most delay because they fear being wrong, so they become nothing. Indecision is the slowest form of death. It kills identity silently. One clear decision can rewrite a decade of drift. Ask yourself with full presence, have I decided or am I still negotiating with my potential? Because transformation begins not with change, but with decision. Decide, and the path appears. Goals can be missed. Identity doesn't. When purpose is just something you want, it's negotiable. When it's who you are, it's immovable. An unbreakable attitude begins when your purpose stops being a wish and becomes your identity. You don't pursue your mission, you embody it. You wake up with it. You suffer for it. You speak as it. This removes the option to quit. When you become the mission, adversity loses its leverage. Purpose clarifies decisions. You stop chasing distractions because they don't match who you are. Every yes is filtered by alignment. Every no becomes easier. You gain power not by doing more, but by becoming more specific. Without identity, your mind drifts. It overthinks, doubts, hesitates. Purpose anchors your focus in storms. It answers fear with direction, and direction is the antidote to confusion. Not motivation, you must name it. Define it in full detail. Not just what you want, but who you must become to deserve it. Vague purpose produces vague energy. Precision sharpens everything from thought to execution. Read it, speak it, burn it in. Your subconscious builds what you repeat with emotion. Purpose must echo in your habits, your words, your presence. Not as performance, but as confirmation of who you've already decided to be. Ask yourself with depth, is my purpose clear enough to guide pain? Because only then will your attitude stop bending under pressure and start standing as proof. N. Unbreakable mind isn't built by chance, it's guarded by discipline. Most people don't fail from impact, they fall from infiltration. Your attitude doesn't collapse in battle, it corrodes in silence, from what you tolerate. Every thought you entertain becomes a vote. Gossip, self-pity, internal criticism. These are not harmless. They're slow toxins that dissolve clarity and confidence. You must cut them at the root, or they will cut your future. You are the gatekeeper of your mind. Nothing enters without your permission. Weakness begins where your standards end. What you allow defines what you become. Tolerate noise, absorb chaos, guard your gates, command your peace. Mental sovereignty means eliminating passive consumption. Every voice you let near your subconscious is shaping your self-perception. Filter aggressively. Elevation requires environment inside and out that reinforces belief. It's not just external. Your own inner critic can become a saboteur if left unchallenged. You must outtalk your fear, outrain your doubt, outcommit your hesitation. This is not ego. It's defense of your potential. What lowers your energy must lose access to your space. That includes people, content, habits, even inner narratives. Anything that weakens your fire must be confronted or deleted relentlessly. Ask yourself now, what influences have I allowed to take space in my mind that would never be allowed if I truly respected my purpose? Because if you don't protect your gates like a warrior, you'll fall like a wanderer. Your attitude is not decoration, it's armor. It deflects attacks and cuts through doubt. It is both your first defense and your final edge. Once forged, it doesn't just protect your purpose, it projects it. A true positive mental attitude isn't blind optimism, it's trained clarity. It sees threats but refuses submission. It recognizes pain but extracts wisdom. It walks through fire and declares, I don't break, I sharpen. When your attitude becomes unshakable, circumstances lose authority. Setbacks don't define you, they refine you. Critics don't redirect you, they validate your momentum. You stop seeking approval and start radiating certainty. This is how leaders emerge, not from position but from posture. An unbreakable attitude is magnetic. It attracts opportunity, earns trust, commands energy because people follow clarity in a world drunk on confusion. But power fades without vigilance. You must reinforce your attitude daily, through repetition, discipline, environment, purpose. Not once, but always. Mastery is maintenance. The stronger your attitude, the fewer explanations you'll ever need. This is your final seal, to live as if the world bends to your will, not out of arrogance, but alignment. Because when your attitude and your purpose move as one, resistance becomes fuel and fear becomes irrelevant. Now ask with finality, will I carry this attitude as a passive hope or wield it as the blade and shield of who I've decided to become? Because once you seal this mindset, the world no longer breaks you, it bows. Let's make one thing clear. You now hold the blueprint to build a mind that doesn't bend, it builds. A mind that interprets pain as preparation. A mind that doesn't just survive the storm, it commands it. This isn't motivation. It's your manual for transformation. If you apply what you just learned, not casually, but relentlessly, you won't just change how you feel. You'll change who you are and what you're capable of creating. If this message ignited something in you, if you're committed to forging an unbreakable mental attitude, then don't leave that power in silence. Subscribe now. This channel is your forge. Every video is fire for your evolution. Go to the comments right now and declare it. My mind is my domain. Write it, own it, seal it. Make it your commitment not just to watch, but to become, and share this video with someone who's silently fighting a battle inside, someone who needs to be reminded that they are not broken, just untrained. Share it with someone who needs to take back their mind, because the greatest shift in your life won't come from luck, talent, or timing. It will come from one decision to no longer rent your attitude to circumstance, but to own it, guard it, and command it like a warrior. You are no longer a passenger. You are the architect, the commander, the source. From this moment forward, walk like it.